Hey, it's Marko here from Realty. You're probably wondering, why am I hanging out in my basement suite of my personal home? There are a few good reasons to rent out your basement suite. A couple of them would be, for example, cash flow. You would also be helping to alleviate the BC housing crisis that we're currently facing. But I'm here tonight to give you 5 reasons as to why you should not rent out your basement suite. Number 1 is Revenue Canada has a new requirement. When you file taxes, you have to disclose whether you sold your personal residence in that tax year. So depending on the size of your suite, whether any structural changes were needed to your house or made to your house to accommodate the suite, a few other factors, you could be facing a partial principal residency tax exemption. What that means is, let's say your house goes up $400,000 in value and you have no suite, you make that $400,000 tax-free. But for example, let's say your suite is 800 square feet and the total square footage of your house was 2,000 square feet, so your suite was 40% of the house. You could be losing 40% of the principal residency tax exemption, so you could be looking at a tax bill on a $160,000 worth of capital gains, and you would calculate that by going $400,000 worth of appreciation times 0.4. Just think about how many months of rent you have to collect to pay a tax bill on $160,000 worth of capital gains. So that's consideration number 1 and a reason why you shouldn't rent your suite. Number 2 would be, I'm not sure how many people are aware, but the BC Residential Tenancy Act changed a month ago. I talked about this in another video and how it changed. But basically, you can no longer rent out your suite on a fixed term, fixed end date basis. The only way to have your tenant vacate is by saying that you're moving back into the suite in good faith. I personally can't do that. I have 3,000 square feet above this suite. There's no way I could tell the tenant that I'm personally reclaiming the space because I don't need it. So I wouldn't be acting in good faith if I tried to get a tenant out of my suite on that sort of basis. So you're probably wondering, well, why would you want to get a tenant out? And first, I just want to say that I fully support the new BC Tenancy Act, but because the federal government and the provincial government don't talk together, you get these odd situations. For example, you might have a strategy of renting your basement suite while the market is completely flat because you don't have any gains on your house. The principal tax exemption doesn't even come into play. But you might want to leave the suite vacant when your house is jumping up in value so you're not getting stuck with a massive capital gains bill. Well, the problem is, because the BC government made changes to the Tenancy Act, you can't get your tenant removed or vacated unless the tenant chooses to do so. So you could get caught in a weird situation where the BC Tenancy Act is causing you to lose a lot of money in terms of capital gains. Basically, it's a symptom of the federal government and the provincial government not communicating at all. Number 3 is back to tax implications. So the feds raised the taxes on high-income earners. The NDP recently increased taxes by 2.1% on those individuals making more than $150,000. You could be in a scenario where you're in a tax bracket. If you're renting your suite, let's say for $1,200 a month, you're paying $600 in tax because the income from your tax gets added on top of whatever you're normally making at your professional job or work or whatever. A lot of people might say, well, you know, it's over $150,000. To buy a house in Victoria with a suite is $800,000 to $1 million, unless you have the pockets of mommy and daddy. Reality is that you're going to have to be making more than $150,000, so renting that suite might not be attractive. Reason number 4, it's pretty short. Obviously, privacy and inconvenience are a concern. You have someone living inside your home, coming and going from the property. They might be making a bit of noise. And finally, number 5 is wear and tear on the suite. If you have people moving in and out, that can damage the floors, damage the wall. That can cost money to repair, or it can impact resale value. So those are my 5 reasons as to why you should not rent out your basement suite. That's it for this week. Marko, Juras, Realty.